Do you know India is the largest producer of milk in the world? We produce more than the US, more than China, and more than any other country on the entire planet. And even within India, the dairy industry is worth over 15 lakh crore rupees, which basically makes it the single largest agricultural commodity in our country. It is bigger than wheat and it is bigger than rice. And this entire industry mainly runs on one single product, and that is milk. Amul, Mother Dairy, Nandini, Hatsun, all of them are fundamentally milk companies. They basically collect it from farmers, process it, package it, and they deliver it. But let me tell you something very interesting about the dairy market in India. Do you know almost every major dairy company in India is a cooperative and not really a private company? For example, Amul is a cooperative, Mother Dairy is a cooperative, and even Nandini is a cooperative. And this, by the way, is not at all a coincidence. There are very specific structural reasons as to why cooperatives dominate this industry and why private companies have found it nearly impossible to build a national dairy brand in India. Basically, the economics of milk in our country are so brutal that it makes it one of the most difficult products in the country for a private business to scale. But you know what? In the middle of all of this, we recently had one dairy company that literally got listed on the stock market. And this company is not a cooperative, it is actually a private company. I'm talking about Milky Mist. And you know what makes Milky Mist even more unusual? See, even though the dairy industry has absolutely brutal economics and no private company has managed to scale before, Milky Mist has managed to sell across 22 states, and they run every single thing from just one single factory in Tamil Nadu. And the craziest part in all of this is that this dairy company does not even sell milk at all. I'll repeat myself, Milky Mist does not sell milk at all. So in this video, I want to break down how all of this works. What is it about milk that makes it so structurally difficult for a private company to crack? And what did Milky Mist exactly figure out that allowed them to skip this entire game and still manage to build a national brand that is now a publicly listed company? Now before we move ahead, I want to make it very clear that this video is not sponsored by Milky Mist. This is an independent analysis and it should not be taken as investment advice at all. With that said, my name is Bansal and let's decode. Now see, to understand why not selling milk is such a big deal, we will first need to understand something very important about milk itself. See, milk is one of the most difficult products to handle in the entire food business. See, the moment a farmer milks a cow or a buffalo, a clock basically starts ticking. If that milk is not chilled to about 4 degrees Celsius within a few hours after milking, bacteria starts multiplying very quickly and the milk goes bad. So on a hot summer day in India where temperatures very easily cross 40 degrees in many parts of the country, raw milk can spoil in a matter of just a few hours. Now I want you to think about what this means if you want to build a milk business in India. See, India has roughly 8 to 10 crore dairy farmers. These farmers are, by the way, not even sitting in one place. They are spread across lakhs of villages and across dozens of states. And to make it even harder, most of these farmers are very small. Some of them just have 2 cows or 3 buffaloes, etc. And each of them eventually ends up producing just 5 to 15 liters of milk per day. So if you are a company that actually wants to buy this milk, you cannot just set up one big factory somewhere and expect that the farmers will come to you. The milk will spoil long before it even reaches your factory's gate. You basically have to go to the farmers, and in order to do that, you will need collection points close to where they are located. So basically, you need chilling equipment at each of those collection points, and you need people running these centers every single day because milk collection is not something that you can skip for even one single day. And this, by the way, is the exact problem that Amul solved at national scale. And the way they solved it is through a system that most of us probably know about, but a very few of us have actually understood properly. See, Amul runs a 3-tier cooperative system. At the very bottom, you have village-level dairy cooperative societies. Now, these are basically small local cooperatives where farmers from a village bring their milk twice a day. Now, this milk is tested, the fat content is measured, and the farmer is paid money immediately. To give you a sense of how big this is, there are more than 18,000 village cooperatives across just the state of Gujarat alone, and they cover more than 36 lakh farmer members. Anyway, the milk then goes to the second tier, which is a district level union. Now, this district union is where the actual processing of the milk happens. This is where the milk gets converted into butter, cheese, curd, ice cream, and basically all the Amul products that you see in the market today. And then at the top sits GCMMF, which is basically the state level body that handles marketing, branding, and distribution of everything under the Amul brand name. Now, this is the organization that also runs the Amul brand and the mascots as we know it. Now, this entire system processes roughly 3.5 crore liter of milk every single day. And the reason why all of this works so well is because every tier handles the problem at its own level. For example, the village cooperative solves the collection problem, the district union solves the processing problem, and the state federation solves the distribution and the marketing problem. But here's the important thing to understand in all of this. See, this system was not built by one single company. It was actually built over many decades with government support, with the backing of the National Dairy Development Board, and with the participation of millions of farmers who, by the way, themselves are the owners of the cooperative. So nobody basically had to invest crores of rupees to set this up. It grew organically because farmers needed a fair price for their milk, and the cooperative structure gave them exactly that. Now, I want you to imagine that you are an entrepreneur. You look at this market and you think, great, India consumes a lot of milk, so I should get into the milk business. That's completely fair, right? But here's the thing, the moment you try and do this, you run into the exact same problem. You need collection centers close to the farmers, so you need to go village by village and actually convince farmers to sell you their milk instead of the cooperatives that they have actually been working for many decades. Then you need to install chilling equipment at each of these centers. You need refrigerated trucks to move the milk to your factory, and you need to do all of this within just a few hours every single day in every region that you operate in. Because remember, milk does not wait and it gets spoiled. It could be one day or one power cut at one chilling center or one breakdown of a refrigerated truck and thousands of liters of your milk are just gone. Now for once, let's assume that you do manage to successfully do all of this in one district. What do you actually earn then? Liquid milk operates at roughly 5 to 8% margins. That's all. So the product that retails at approximately 50 to 60 rupees per liter, that is just a profit of 3 to 4 rupees per liter. Now with those tiny margins, how are you exactly supposed to generate enough amount of money to expand to the next district, then to the next state, and also all of this while maintaining the infrastructure that you have already built? That is the exact trap that I'm talking about. Basically, the product that you need to sell in order to make a successful dairy business is the exact product whose economics make it almost impossible for it to grow. Now, cooperatives here can survive because their eventual goal is not really to give shareholders returns. Their goal is to give a farmer a fair price. Profit maximization is not at all their concern. But for a private company that needs to grow, raise capital, and eventually reward its investors, liquid milk is one of the hardest foundations that you can possibly choose to build on. The margins are thin, the logistics are brutal, and you are competing against cooperatives who have had a 50-year head start and who are not even trying to make money in the same way that you are. And that is why if you look at private dairy companies in India, most of them have eventually stayed regional. For example, Heritage Foods is strong in the south part of India, Parag Milk Foods is strong in the west part of India, Dodla Dairy operates primarily in parts of Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, and very few have actually managed to build anything close to a national presence in liquid milk. And that is the interesting part, because that is exactly the game that Milky Mist has decided to not even play. So then the question is, if milk is such a difficult product to build a private business around, then what on earth did Milky Mist do so differently? Now, well, to understand that, we will need to understand a little bit about how the company even started. See, Milky Mist was not built by some IIM graduate with a great business plan. It was actually started by a 16-year-old boy called T. Satish Kumar who dropped out of school after class 8. His family had a small milk trading business in Tamil Nadu where they used to buy milk from local farmers, chill it, and send around 3,000 liters per day to Bangalore. The problem, of course, was that the margins were horrible, and by 1992, the business had to shut down. Now, here's where it gets very interesting. See, during his trips to Bangalore, Satish noticed something very interesting. One of his buyers was not selling the milk as milk. He was converting it into paneer and selling that paneer to hotels. And that paneer, by the way, was selling at a much higher price and a much higher profit margin than the milk it was made from. That is when Satish also decided to try the same thing. He started boiling milk, adding vinegar, and experimenting until he could produce a decent quality of paneer. He kept doing it, and by 1995 he came to a point where he was selling 50 to 100 kgs of paneer every single day. And that is exactly when he made a decision that completely changed how the company worked. He stopped selling liquid milk entirely. Every drop of milk would now be converted into paneer and later into curd, cheese, butter, ghee, and dozens of other products that Milky Mist today sells. The question, of course, is why does this matter so much? Because look, we already saw that liquid milk gives you about 5 to 8% margins on a product that sells for 50 to 60 rupees per liter, right? So as a business, that is basically a recipe for a disaster. But look at how value-added dairy products actually work. Packaged curd and buttermilk can give you 15 to 20% margins, cheese can give you 25 to 45% margins, and things like ghee and ice cream can go even higher. So here's the thing, the same liter of milk that earns you 5% margin can earn you significantly more when you convert it into something else. And that's not the only thing, by the way. You remember how I told you that milk has to be stored at a very specific temperature or else it is at a risk of getting spoiled very quickly? See, the moment you convert that same milk into something else, that expiry date also completely changes. For example, paneer lasts for 3 to 5 weeks, curd lasts for 2 to 4 weeks, cheese lasts for 6 to 9 months, butter lasts for 6 to 12 months, and ghee lasts for 9 to 12 months and sometimes even longer. So you see what's happening here? The problem that kept so many dairy companies localized and stopped them from expanding was a problem that Milky Mist did not even have, because their products lasted much longer and they did not have the problem to sell milk. And here is exactly where the supply chain of Milky Mist becomes very interesting to understand. See, unlike all other dairy companies that have multiple centers where they operate from, Milky Mist just runs one single mega factory near Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, and from that one factory they serve 22 states across the entire country. So basically the entire cooperative structure that companies like Amul and many other dairy companies had to build, Milky Mist simply does not even require any of it. And on top of all of this, there is one more very interesting advantage. See, just like fruits and vegetables, milk production also fluctuates with seasons. In the winter months, for example, cows and buffaloes produce a little more milk than normal, and during summer, production drops. So for a liquid milk company, there is constant volatility. But for Milky Mist, this is actually a blessing in disguise. Why? Because when there is extra milk available in the market, which is in the winter months, they can simply convert more of it into long-lasting products like cheese, ghee, and frozen paneer. And the moment the summer season comes and milk becomes expensive because there is lower supply, they already have cheaper inventory to sell. So think about it, this one small decision to not sell milk, which almost looks too basic to even matter, practically removed every structural problem that makes dairy so difficult for private companies to crack in India. And you know what makes this timing so interesting? See, today apps like Blinkit and Zepto have completely changed how often people buy dairy. If you think about it, somebody who was already buying branded curd or paneer or curd from a store is now buying a lot more frequently. Why? Because when curd or paneer is 10 minutes away on your phone, that convenience basically forces you to shop more. And then separately, there is an entirely new kind of demand that is building up which did not even exist until a few years ago. Stuff like Greek yogurt, high protein curd, protein paneer, etc., which were very niche products until 5 years ago and probably nobody even sold them. But today they are growing very fast in urban parts of India because there is a lot of conversation around protein and fitness and health conscious eating. And Milky Mist, luckily for them, already makes all of these products. So they get to ride this entire wave with the help of quick commerce as well. And of course, it's not like only Milky Mist is doing it, the entire dairy industry is pushing in the same direction. Amul, for example, is pushing harder into things like cheese and yogurt. Mother Dairy has been actively growing its value-added portfolio over the last few years as well, and Hatsun is also expanding well beyond liquid milk. Basically, every major dairy company in India is now trying to increase its share of value-added products because the direction is obvious to everybody. But the fact is, all the others are cooperatives and Milky Mist is the only major private company to do this. And the funny thing is, all of that is spiraling from the one decision that was taken in the 1990s, and that was to not even sell milk. That's it from my side in today's video. I'm curious to know, do you consume any products by Milky Mist? I would love to know what you think of them. Anyway, if you found this video insightful, please do consider subscribing to my channel for more such business and marketing breakdowns because it keeps me motivated to make more such ones for you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.